Hello and welcome back to my winter series. Now this week we're doing things a little bit different because we've got Shrove Tuesday coming up, and I know a lot of different people across different countries celebrate it differently. For instance, in the UK it's known as Pancake Day, but in France a lot of people have sugar-coated fried foods on this day. They might be like thin crispy ones like Merveille, or lighter round ones like beignets. And my grandmother always made beignets. They're so delicious. They're one of my favorite fried foods. The dough itself is moist, so it's different to a donut because this is more of a wetter dough, but they're small. They're kind of like donut holes, and they puff up in the oil, so they're really light and airy. The outside is really crispy, so it's like crispy, moist, but lighter than air. They're amazing. And they're pretty easy to make and a really good way to practice choux pastry, which is one of the French culinary classics. It's what you use for eclairs, cheese puffs, and all those sorts. So to make choux pastry, you want to bring to the boil water and butter and then add in the flour. And then the tricky bit is you want to beat that until it's really dried off nicely. So it wants to come together, not stick to the pan, and you want to beat it with a wooden spoon for about 5 minutes. Then put it in a stand mixer or with an electric whisk it until it cools down, and then add your eggs one by one until they're fully combined, and you should have a lovely dough. Then while the oil is heating up, I'm just going to prep some vanilla sugar to coat the beignet in, but you can use cinnamon as well if you want. Right, so now for the trickiest bit, which is to find the right temperature to fry the beignet at. So you want to take a teaspoonful of dough and drop it in the oil. And it should be at the temperature where it starts to bubble straight away and it slowly rises to the surface and starts to float. Then our beignets should brown slowly. They shouldn't brown too quickly, but they should also move by themselves. You should see them have a little swim, and that's because it's expanding and releasing air, which is moving it along. And it should eventually start to properly puff, and you should start seeing these cracks form like so, and that should make the beignet turn on itself, which then in turn heats up the bit that's expanding, makes it expand even more, and it keeps turning on itself. If you see that it's not turning itself too much, then just help it along, as I have done, by just throwing a bit of oil on top or just turning it, and then it should start to expand more. And basically you want to throw a bit of oil on it, gently of course, it is very hot oil, and help it expand. And with that hot oil it should expand more and more and more as it's doing so. And look at it, it's so puffy and light and airy and beautiful, so happy. And eventually it should stop puffing and it should just be brown all over, lovely and golden, and that's when it is ready to take out of the oil. So just drain it and put it on some kitchen towel. And then I'm just going to show you what happens if the oil is too hot. So you can see here my beignet is browned really quickly, and so because it was brown all over, it created a hard exterior, which meant it couldn't expand properly, and as it tried to expand it just exploded, and so that is bad. So oil mustn't be too hot, it's better for it to be slightly under than over. And once you're happy with the temperature, you can start cooking them about 4 at a time. Obviously when you put 4, it drops the temperature slightly, so you just want to keep on top of it a bit. But look at them go, all puffy and beautiful. Now once they're out of the oil onto a kitchen roll, you want to, while they're still a bit hot, toss them in your flavoured sugar. I've gone with vanilla. In France you can buy this pre-made, but I couldn't find that in the UK, so I've made my own. But you could do cinnamon or just icing sugar, whatever you fancy. And that's it really. I would say the key takeaways to make sure you succeed in making your own beignet is 1, to make sure you properly dry out your choux pastry mixture of water, butter and flour in the pan. So spend a good 5 minutes drying that out. That's really important to get a good expansion. And 2, make sure your oil is not too hot, so it's better to give them time to slowly expand before they brown in the oil, and that will make sure you get a really light, airy beignet with a really lovely crispy exterior. Hope you enjoy!